Good morning, Southern California. I'm John Baldwin with John Hart Real Estate, and today is Monday, October 17th, 2022. Want to touch on a little bit about what's going on in the new construction market, the builder sentiment and everything, and then kind of roll that into the resale, housing market, and just kind of say like what we're seeing over here in the new construction market does reflect or at least, kind of show you what's going on in the resale market too. So let's get into it here. So have an article from today on housingwire.com. This is one of their free articles. So builders up incentives in attempt to hammer out deal. 63% of builders reported a year over year decrease in sales in September. Now, the decrease in sales is expected as the monthly expense, as the cost of borrowing money goes up, as interest rates get close to 7 or even over 7% in some places. Yes, your monthly payment jumps, which means your pool of buyers went from here to here. So you have shrunk your pool of buyers, necessarily diminishing how many sales you get. So this is again where we're seeing in the resale market is that yes, sales volume is down. And for the most part, prices are going sideways. A little bit of separating out. What I call is basically the cream of the crop is going to stay at top dollar, and the things that need work are going to start drifting down to an appropriate price point for where they are. So as far as condition, so this is something we need to factor into the whole process here. Is why are builders now increasing incentives? Why are they giving more to a buyer in order to get them to buy? Well, it's basically bait. It's like you need to improve your product in order to get people to pay the same price that they were paying a year ago. So this is one of the things. You can either reduce the price, making what you have already a better value, or you can increase or improve what you have, making the price a better value. So you only really have two variables. You can deal with the price or you can deal with the condition. And what they're doing is they're creating incentives to basically deal with the condition. They're going to all right, we'll throw in hardwood floors. We'll, give you a home warranty plan. So they're increasing the value of the product they're providing so that sticker price can stay the same instead of dropping the sticker price so that what they're selling you is a better value. So let's get into this article a little deeper. So this article surveyed mostly kind of mid-tier, I would say, small and mid-tier builders. These guys are, building up to maybe 100 homes a year, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong. But there are some of the mega builders doing, thousands and thousands and thousands of builders, like the Lewis homes, the Lennox homes, you name it. They're doing a much bigger numbers, so they're not as directly impacted maybe by the month-to-month changes in demand that the smaller guys are, because the smaller guys, they can be completely extended, and when the market shifts they lose everything. So this is why they need sometimes to create a better value in order to sell their existing inventory. So business conditions are deteriorating at an accelerating rate due in our view to higher mortgage rates, fear of falling real estate values, and weaker economic conditions among consumers, a lag in some builder reactions to negative conditions, and to some extent seasonality. Yes, in a lot of places, especially places with snow, you're going to have a much bigger impact of seasonality because nobody wants to buy or sell a house when you got 2 feet of snow outside. I grew up in Michigan, and believe me, I mean, the housing market in January is a lot different than the housing market in July. So something to keep in mind. So, Just 7% of respondents reported higher year over year sales in September, down from 17% in August and 34% in September of 2021. In addition to a survey record low reading for the number of sales. Buyer traffic also came in at a record low, with just 12% of respondents reporting year over year traffic increases compared to 17% a month prior, while 61% reported annual declines in traffic, up from 53% in August 2022. Yes, demand is the Federal Reserve is actively trying to tamp down demand in order to shave off value from the economy in order to try to tamp down inflation. Like, they are actively impacting the demand side of the equation. They are making the cost of money, the cost of doing business, more expensive in order to try to basically cool off the entire economy so that they can get inflation under control. Now, this kind of shows you what's going on in the resale housing market, in that sellers are going to have to be a little more conciliatory on repair requests from a buyer. Sellers are going to be sitting on the market a little longer because there are fewer buyers chasing each property right now. So you're not going to have that, I put my house on the market and in 4 days I have 35 offers like we did last year. But it also doesn't mean that, we're going off of a cliff. So, right now we're definitely seeing volume down and prices are going sideways, as I said, and prices are separating out, but we're still seeing prices up year over year. So there's a lot of data here, a lot of good information, but the thing is always going to be, is it a good time for you to buy, and can you mitigate the higher interest rates with 2-1 buy down programs, or maybe an adjustable rate mortgage? But adjustable rate mortgages have their own pitfalls. You need to know that in a 5-year adjustable, it'll reset in 5 years to whatever the market rate is. Same thing, 7-year or a 10-year. As soon as you hit that 5, 7, or 10-year threshold, you're going to end up resetting that mortgage to the higher amount. So if you know that you're going to be getting out of that house in 5 or 7 years, that maybe an adjustable is the right way to go, because you can lower your interest rate in the short term and then, refinance when rates finally come down. Now, when will rates come down? We don't know. Now, Fannie Mae anticipated by the end of 2023, but I don't really see it right now. I think that they're probably going to be bumping that out a little bit to when they're finally going to have rates coming back down again, because we don't know when they're going to stop going up, because the Fed, with this last inflation reading that just happened, coming in hot again at 8.3% inflation, that's based on the modern calculation. Please go out and look for the 70s and 80s calculation of inflation and what that is saying. We are seeing something more along the lines of 17% inflation if you use the inflation calculations from the 70s and 80s, because they changed it in the 90s so that it would reflect less negatively on politicians of both parties. I'm not a fan of politicians because they put their fingers into all these different markets and they screw stuff up. And what they have done, they changed the inflation calculation so that they stopped getting blamed when stuff went wrong, so that members of both parties, all politicians, could spend money like it was their job and never have inflation numbers come back to bite them in the butt when it became time to be reelected, because they can always point to this horrible new calculation that basically diminishes how much energy and housing impact the inflation readings. So that's my little rant on that. I probably shouldn't have gotten into politics, but I blame both parties right now because they changed the inflation calculations to insulate themselves from negative press due to inflation and spending problems. This happened in about 1994. Again, I blame both parties because they both participated in this change. This is not a partisan thing. This is all political critters did it. So, all right. Again, sorry about the rant there. And where were we? All right. So, as buyer demand and traffic has decreased, builders are cutting prices, increasing incentive to drive up sales. In September, 47% of builders lowered base prices, up from just 37% a month ago, while 24% raised some, most, or all base prices down from 29%. So they're having to play around with base prices, incentives, lowering up, upping. So like if they're lowering a base price, my guess is they're lowering the quality of finishes in there as well. So if you were gonna have, we're gonna put a tile floor in the kitchen, they may now be doing something like, hey, we can cut our costs and put sheet vinyl in instead of tile, and we'll lower our price points. So again, all these things, all these increased expenses for the builder reflect a drop in demand and increased monetary cost for mortgages. So I think that's the end of this article. There's a lot of good data in here. I like Housing Wire. I think they do a pretty good job of bringing the data together. It's just one of those things where we're at a point where, as the builders see their demand dropping, in order to increase, traffic, they need to make their product more attractive. The same thing goes for resale. If your house is sitting on the market, there are basically two things that you can do. You can drop the price to increase the value of what you have on the market, or you can do some upgrades and increase the value of the house so that your price is a better value. So again, you have two variables you can deal with: price or condition. And when you're dealing with the condition side of things, you're dealing with upgrades, with repairs. All right, well, maybe you weren't planning on replacing the roof before you put the house on the market, but in order to get it to sell and your roof looks rough, maybe getting that roof done is a good idea. So that'll increase the value of what you're selling, even though the price stays the same. So these are the type of things that are happening in the new construction market. They're increasing the value of the product they're providing, or they have to decrease the price to increase the value of the product that already exists. So I hope this helps. This is a lot of information I'm throwing at you with a little bit of a rant in the middle of that. I apologize, but this stuff gets me wound up. I'm passionate about real estate and housing. So give me a call, 213-973-3777, and let's get your house sold.